Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh,
Welcome. Oh, Manny's doing his thing. He's fixing himself. Welcome to Content Creators Connect. Here, we are all about encouraging the three C's: connecting with others via video, content development that builds your personal brand, and creators sharing their experiences despite their distance.
and because it's the Halloween season, I decided to get dressed up and have a spooky introduction today. For those are you that are joining us for the first time, let's get to know the C3 team. My name is Kevin, also known as ClasicMac to my online community, and I'm a strong advocate of finding low cost live streaming ways. So if you are a new streamer just starting up, I'll try and find a way for you to get connected online. And then we have Miss Dori. Here we go. Miss Dori, known to everyone as DSpence, and in her superpowers to install confidence in those around her and helping others to become texperts in their own adventures. And then we have on the far side, Mr. Coach Manny, coaching us up in the world
Hello.
of social media marketing as well as pursuing his passion for true crime. So, as you can tell from the title, today is going to be a very helpful stream for those that are going to be using Mac computers for streaming. And we have a very well or well versed, I guess is the term I'm looking for, person to give us sort of some tips and tricks on how to use ECamm very efficiently. So, Dory, what is it about ECamm that you love so much, and why would you recommend it for some streamers?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, first of all, I just have to say, I have been with ECamm since the beginning. I am one of their beta users, and I have loved what Kevin and Glenn, the founders of ECamm, have done since the beginning. So, as a Mac gal here in my home studio, I absolutely love the fact that for me, ECammLive is literally like a one-stop shop for creating a production from scratch. And the particular broadcast, this particular broadcast right now that we are pushing out there to y'all is being produced, managed, streamed, and presented all from my Mac using ECammLive. So if you are a solopreneur, I love that word, using a software like ECamm allows you to look like you have a production team hanging out behind you, even though you are technically a party of one. And so for me, that's why I absolutely love ECamm. Manny, now I know I'm a little behind the eight ball with you guys because you're both PC users, but tell me if there's anything intriguing about learning ECamm from your perspective.
I love the way you phrased that question, number one. That was awesome. But absolutely 110%. Here is why. There is more than just one vMix. And we're going to learn a couple different ones in the next few weeks. But here's the truth. I want to see what it's like to build from your end as the Mac user. Now, as someone who's in social media, this is a very important topic because I don't want to be so focused on one option for people, right? I think this is so huge. I know for a fact I'm going to get enough value where I can then help someone move forward in their decision making. Number one, to even be able to say, well, if you're a Mac user, check out ECamm. And if you're, so for example, Kevin's going to be teaching something in a couple weeks. Someone was asking me questions about that. And I was like, here, check out our channel. We're going to be doing a live on that. and she became a subscriber. So you see how easy this value that I'm excited about it. I literally am excited because number one, I want to see how it is on your end. Plus, you got that one feature that I absolutely love. I love it. What do you
So,
think, Kevin? How about your perspective on that?
so I'm going to tell you a little secret here. I actually started out on ECamm. So,
Whoa.
when I first started streaming, I had a MacBook Air 2013. So it sort of met the minimum requirements to be able to stream. So, of course, finding out about eCamm, there are a ton of features that I absolutely love on that. But I then switched over to a PC because it was a bit stronger in terms of being able to stream. So I went rather than spending the money on a Mac computer, I went the PC route and started out with a Windows laptop, and then after that got myself a Windows desktop. So I know a little bit about what you're going to be talking about, Dory, today. So I'm super excited to see what how much has actually changed since I got to use it. So, but those that if you want to, please consider subscribing to get some of this awesome content. Like Manny was saying, he had somebody in his group looking to talk about other methods other than eCamm and vMix for streaming. So make sure you consider subscribing and click that notification bell so you know when we have a new live stream coming up. So without further ado, let's head on over to Dory so she can give us these golden nuggets of information.
Well, hello. I need to rearrange some screens here so that you guys are going to be able to see all the goods. So, my goal for tonight is to really focus on 3 tips that will help anyone who specifically is a solopreneur create a professional level, whether it be live stream or recorded content. And so my goal is to cover things that are going to heavily focus on the idea of tip number 1, which is organization. Because let's face it, when you're trying to produce something from scratch and you are the only person in the room, you gotta be organized because time is money. The second tip is about using and leaning into your creativity. Now, the third tip, I'm going to hang out and just keep that under the vest for just a few minutes. But I want to focus to begin with on organization and creativity and how you can use eCamm to kind of enhance both of those key aspects of being a solopreneur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit this fancy smancy, you like that term? Fancy smancy, live demo mode. And gentlemen, if you can let me know that you are seeing my screen, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Awesome sauce. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of inception time here tonight, and we are going to be looking at screens within screens within screens, but I promise not to make anybody seasick. So ECammLive has an amazing feature. It's called live demo mode. And one of the things that I love the most about that is the fact that it allows someone to share the behind the scenes look while recording or, like we are right now, doing a live stream. So the first thing I want to point out to you guys is just a little bit of what you're looking at here. So this screen in the center where you see all of our gorgeous faces is the actual monitor screen. And there are some tools that are available on that screen to help with some visualization. So what I'm looking at now is the fact that we're live. I'm looking at the number of viewers that we have currently active, and I have a couple tools along the right-hand side. Those are tools that give you quick access to some of the things that you see kind of spread around the outside part of my screen, which are my menus, my windows. And I want to very methodically just kind of quickly explain what you're looking at, and then we're going to dive into a little bit more detail. So the first thing I want to cover with you is what I personally believe to be the absolute secret sauce for ECamm, and that is the ability to create scenes. Now, when you're talking about being organized and you're talking about leaning into your creativity, doing some pre-production legwork is going to help you immensely. I create scenes in advance that have things like my cameras, overlays, and other uh, music sometimes or other sound effects. I build all that out in advance so that while I'm on stream, all I simply need to do is click one of these buttons and it will magically switch from one scene to another scene to even another scene, which I'm going to explain what all this is over the course of the next few minutes. But it's literally as if I were recording this inside a TV studio and a team was sitting in a production room, switching cameras, changing scenes, and doing all that for me, when in fact, ECamm lets you literally have it at the tips of your fingers. Okay? So the scenes is most definitely what I consider to be the secret sauce. Overlays, we're going to talk about specifically in the sprinkling some creativity aspect into your streams. Overlays are the things that you put on the screen that enhance your message. Maybe it's images, maybe it's text, maybe it's a scrolling news ticker across the bottom, maybe it's an animated picture of a minion playing a guitar, which I have, but not tonight. Sound effects. This is where you can do things like add music to a particular scene, add music in the background overall, add things like an air horn or maybe an applause track that you simply can just hit the play button and it comes into scene. Sorry, was that a little loud? Um, and we have a lot of music that we use here that is copyright free, royalty free, which we're going to talk about as a bonus hack at the end. But ECamm allows you to bring all that in seamlessly, and just by clicking a gear, lets you add it to your scenes. Now over here on the right side of my screen, you're going to see a sound levels where you should see my mic picking up an active signal and moving. This is basically a monitor tool. I can watch what my sound levels look like. In the interview mode, I can watch what Kevin and Manny sound like and make sure that they are not too loud, too soft. It's like Goldilocks. You just want to find that like just right mode. And then on the right-hand side, the comments and reactions. This is also something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but in my opinion, also another very, very, very solid piece of the puzzle that ECamm has included in here. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more in detail when I get to that. And then lastly, down here, we have camera effects, which I'm going to show you what that means and how to incorporate it in the creative aspect of your solopreneur journey with ECamm. So what I'd like to do at this point is I want to focus on something that you actually are not able to edit, the idea of creating profiles. If you go to the menu up across the top, you should see options here, but most are grayed out. One of the things that I use to keep myself organized is I create different profiles for the different streams that I do. So I have a profile in ECamm for C3. I have a profile in ECamm for my Tech Zero to Hero. I have a profile in ECamm for my D&D channel. The nice thing about using profiles is when I change to a specific profile, my scenes in that menu change. So all of the scenes that you see on my screen right now in this area are specifically used through our C3 production. If I were to change that to my D&D channel, all of the scenes that would show up would be those specifically that I created with my overlays, with my text boxes, with my animated graphics, specifically for D&D. So profiles, number one key aspect to staying organized, especially if you're someone who does different styles of stream or different content related streams. The second thing is with the actual scenes themselves, which I've already talked about and demonstrated how to use those to your advantage to stay organized. These are all scenes that I created while off camera and simply have them in the chronological order that we use them here in our C3 production, starting with our countdown timer, moving to our 3 heads, which you often see as we start our streams, and then having our animated graphic transitions. Okay. And then immediately going to the next scene, which is also another little hidden feature inside ECamm. Certain scenes, when you create them, you can have them automatically move to the next scene in the list. I'm not sure if other production softwares have that capability, but I just really love that automated feature inside of ECamm. I'm seeing a head shake from Kevin, so I'm thinking that means that vMix has it as well.
Yep, they do have something that are called triggers that are able to move from scene to scene without having to press anything.
Okay, very cool. So with the use of scenes, I want to kind of walk through actually doing some things with you guys and hopefully kind of give you some ideas for how you can use ECamm or whatever production software is your software of choice. And my ECamm looks like it integrates with your desktop. It very much does, Manny. So the way this is set up is all of my menus, all of my windows, I can customize what my desktop looks like. And I can move those things. I can add windows, delete windows. If you look here, there's a whole slew of windows that you can have open. Some of them are just ones that I don't use in particular, like the preferences window, the network cameras, things like that. And with scene creation, you can also share your desktop as a camera source, which I'm going to actually show you guys as we actually walk through setting up a scene right now. So let's take a look at some of these tools and actions. So the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of creating different camera angles without having different cameras. And you might wonder, well, why is that important? Here's the thing. When someone is watching video, being able to crop in to show more of a close-up look, being able to show a side view or an overhead view or a behind-the-scenes view, it helps keep your audience's attention and it helps keep them engaged. I know that there's research out there about how often you should be changing your angle, even if it's just a zoom and pan, to keep a viewer's attention on you. So that's why I talk with my hands a lot, which I know we've talked about in streams in the past. So here's what we're going to do. Those all look like widgets around your desktop. Yes, so they're not actually widgets, they're the menu windows, but I can see why they would also appear as widgets, but they don't act independent. Everything that they do is has a specific job inside of ECamm. So they're not third-party widgets. But they do give that impression for sure. So we're going to do this together. We are going to create a new scene from scratch. So before we do that, I want to show you. This is what my main camera looks like without any overlays, without any other fancy stuff on there. And I'm sorry, guys, I just deleted you off the camera screen. But this is what my main camera looks like. Now, what you can do is if you are someone who works with just a single camera, you can actually create a scene and switch to it where you give the illusion of a different camera angle, which again gives the illusion that you have a production team pushing buttons behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and craft. I'm going to come back up here to me, and then I'm going to hit the plus sign here, and I'm going to create a new scene. Now you should be seeing blackness in that monitor window. And the reason is I have ECamm set to create a blank canvas for me. I can choose to have it point to a specific camera. I can choose to have it point to a screen share or something else, but I like to start with a clean slate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add under source, I'm going to actually switch it to camera. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select up here in my menu the camera that I want to use. Now, without any movie magic, you guys are looking at where my camera is situated on my desk at full, no zoom, just 100%. This is what my room looks like. Now I'm going to come over here and use the camera effects, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my scene is unlocked. Any edits that you make, you want to make sure your scene is unlocked. When that scene looks perfect, you want to hit that lock so that you can't accidentally make any changes to it. So unlocked, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make sure that my camera is selected in the camera effects. I'm going to hit zoom and pan, and I'm going to zoom heavily in. And then I'm going to kind of move it, and maybe I want to zoom in all the way. Whew. And I kind of want to position myself so that I'm getting my glasses, my head's almost kissing the top, and you can see enough of Grogu to matter. Okay. Now, why would I create something that looks like this when I can go from here to now going to my new scene? What, gentlemen, thoughts on what purpose something like this would serve?
Like you had said
More of a
before,
close-up.
just zooming in to get the viewer's attention again, going back and forth,
Absolutely.
just changing that angle, just to keep their attention.
Absolutely. So in that case, just changing it up a little bit gives the impression that maybe there's a second camera that's focused in a little bit closer on my face because it's a different angle on the wall and it's zoomed in closer to me. Now, I will tell you that there's another added benefit to doing something like this, and that has to do with adding other creative pieces, which are those overlays, which I'm going to get to in just a few minutes. So creating a scene is just as simple as that. It's as simple as pushing the button, adding the scene, picking a source, and then using your camera effects to move yourself around. Okay? Now, let's talk about, and then locking the scene when you're finished. Okay, locking the scene when you're finished. So I'm just going to change the title of this to be test scene. And then I'm going to lock it. Now, I want to go from scratch and show you how to create a scene that is useful in having multiple objects on camera at one time, which is how we run our production here at C3. Typically, we make sure that all three of us are on camera at any given time so that we can interact with each other, because that's what we're all about here. So one of the scenes that we use is this square view. And we typically use this later in our live stream when we're doing the connect phase and just really kind of having some coffee talk over things. And I'm going to show you guys how to recreate this without having any special Photoshop knowledge or anything else. So we're going to literally recreate this scene from scratch. So let me go back up here. I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add an image overlay. So I'm going to hit the plus sign here on my overlays, and then I'm going to come down here to overlays, and I'm going to pick this PNG file. This is the background that we typically use for our productions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in the overlays section, and now I'm going to add a camera source. So I'm going to hit camera, and I'm going to use this button here, the edit pen, and I'm going to choose my camera. Now, this looks kind of wonky because I'm not where I need to be, and it just looks kind of redonkulous at this point. I'm going to select square. I am in the middle, so I need to leave myself in the middle. I'm going to resize this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the camera effects to kind of get myself in frame where I want myself to be. Okay. And then that's just kind of an idea of just eyeballing that. And so I'm going to move myself up a little bit, but kind of stay in the center, just like that. So now I'm going to hit camera source again. And I'm going to this time choose Manny. Be prepared, you're coming back on camera, Manny. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that edit feature. And I'm going to select, click the wrong button. I'm going to hit square. And I'm going to use the magic of my eyeballs to make Manny and I the same size. I don't know if you guys can pick up on screen the blue guides. You guys can see those, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, super helpful. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick square. I'm going to pick Kevin. And there we go. And I'm going to resize that. And I need to make him a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so now if we look at this scene that I've created and we compare it to this one, what are we missing?
Missing the lower thirds.
We are missing the lower thirds. And we could be a little bit bigger, right? So let's go back to here. We could potentially make these squares a little bit bigger. So the other cool thing is you can do all sorts of things in here. If I don't want that to be squared at all, and I want them to be perfectly sharp edges, and maybe make the border a little bit of a different width, I can do that. I can do all of that just inside this simple menu. Now, I'm kind of a little bit of an OCD freak, and so I have to make sure whatever numbers I use, that they're even. I know, it's so weird, but it's just how I roll. So I believe 8 is the size that we used. And then it would just be a matter of making all of the squares exactly the same size, which I am not. I am smaller. Okay, so, and then positioning myself in the center and then spacing everybody else out accordingly. So now we can look at the lower thirds. And here's another little trick that I absolutely love about ECamm. Do you guys see in my overlays window here? I have options that are chosen in show all scenes. And then I have options that say show in current scene. Now, if we go back to this, actually, if we go back to the 3 heads, now I can see these options right here. And I can actually choose to move these up so that they are now visible and able to be used in all 3 scenes. So let me unlock the scene. And now I can unlock these and I can slide them up here. And what that does is it now gives me access to those in dun, 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 the new scene. We work smarter and not harder here at C3. And you can edit these if you want. You can duplicate them. There's all sorts of things that you can do for these. So in this case, I might slide these up, right? And then move our names up, which would then give us space for the other important overlay, which is comments. So I want to pause for just a second because I know that that was a lot to unpack under the organization and creative aspects of my 3 tips. So just to review, you can use the power of ECamm to set up scenes, which then allow you to do things like show what appears to be different camera angles. Or if you have actual multiple cameras set up, you can then have Kevin and Dori and Manny's names on the screen, which just clicking the eyeball here allows you to turn those on and off. And in addition to that, having the ability to just add things, take them away, things like that, which I absolutely love about this software. Overlays, adding names, adding images, adding animated graphics like those transition stingers that we do where it says content and creators and connect. Okay. All of those things lean into the organization and the creative aspect of using a tool like ECamm. So do you guys have any questions for me before I move to the last tip and show the last piece of the puzzle?
Actually, yeah, I do have a question for you.
Go ahead.
When you were talking about putting the background on first, does it have to be in a certain order in that menu so it doesn't like come over top of the camera, that it's actually at the background portion of it? So those other things are sort of layered on top of it.
Excellent question. Yes, you are literally building a layer cake. So if I took this and I took it and put it on top, now you can see us ghosted because I have the background a little bit transparent, but the order that you put things on here is very important. Excellent question, Kevin. Was there anything else you guys wanted me to review in terms of scenes?
No, I have a pretty good idea on the scene portion.
Okay.
How many cameras can you bring in? Does it?
The amount of cameras is not limited by ECamm. The amount of cameras is limited by the hardware that you have. So if you have capture cards and you have ports available on your computer, and you have processing power behind it, it's literally limitless. So I actually, on any given time, would have 5 cameras, like actual cameras, set up for different angles in my room. I have like an overhead shot. I have my main camera. I have one that I would put on this side behind the monitor, one to show a close up here of me, the behind the scenes, which I've already shown you guys, and I've added a smoke cam, a kitty cam.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but I have capture cards for all of those feeding into my computer, with the exception of the
And
2
then
webcams that I use.
and then on top of that, you could then create scenes with those cameras to create different views.
Yep. So if I were talking, I could, now
You
you guys
could
see me.
actually say
Yeah,
you could then focus in on Grogu on the side wall as opposed to focusing on you. So you could
correct.
just do a quick little pan over to that and then just click a button and it's like there's Grogu as
Yeah,
you get ready for the next scene.
exactly. That's why, like, when you switch from the behind the scenes to here, it's literally just clicking on the little play button that shows up on the scenes. So now I want to show you a little bit more about the overlays. So I showed you the option for adding images as overlays, and the option for adding a camera source. Let's say, for example, I'm going to create a new scene, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off our names. I'm going to add an image as the background. So I'm going to bring in that plain background again. But now, when I add our cameras, I'm going to add us kind of small up here in the corner. So I'm going to just add myself. And I'm not even worried about the pan at this point. I'm just going to kind of put us over here, because I want to show you guys, this is literally how we produce this show. These are the tools that we use. And then I'm going to add, and then I'm going to take and put Manny down here. And we're like the, what was that show? The Brady Bunch, right?
Yep.
But now what I'm going to
What's up,
do
Manny?
is, yeah, if you look straight up, Manny, you're looking at Kevin. I'm going to go ahead and hit this, which is my desktop. So if I were doing a demonstration, I could have all 3 of us on screen and add my desktop as another overlay and just kind of center it on screen by us and literally do a computer demonstration with all 3 of us. And all that I did, that took me 7 seconds to build that scene, to bring in all 3 camera sources and add my desktop as a view. There's another scene already built. And then the last piece that I want to talk about is the text feature, which I'm going to actually leave it on this scene because I kind of like this. I'm digging this scene a little bit. I'm going to add text. I'm going to add a text overlay. So I'm going to just type in here and I'm going to say, join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for our C3 show, exclamation point. You can choose a font. You can choose a ghosted background. You can pick no background. You can change the rounded corners, all sorts of things. But you also have the ability to create it as a scrolling ticker and move its location. You want to talk about looking like a professional, like, news organization? right there. That's one of the key aspects of it. And that thing will just keep repeating over and over and over again. So if you have a message that you want to keep running during your stream, do something like that. If you want to change it up, double click on it, and then you can have it be in a fixed position. Save it, and now you have a static text overlay that you can move anywhere you want on the screen. Which brings me now to tip number 3, which is engage with your audience. How do you do that when you are a solopreneur trying to manage all of these buttons and do all of these things? Well, I'll tell you. This right here, which I'm going to bring it back to the main screen. This comments and reactions box right here, this guy that I'm moving around the screen, is, in my humble opinion, aside from scenes, the other most important aspect of ECamm. If you notice, I can just simply click a button and it brings the comment onto our live stream production. And not only does it bring the comment onto the screen, you can see the user's picture, and you can also see where they are leaving the comment from. If you notice, I have mine set to disappear after 20 seconds, but if you notice in the bottom left corner of Kevin's icon, it's showing that this comment is coming to me via Facebook. If I click on this one, this is Manny. Manny's comment is coming to me from Facebook. Now, if I click on this comment is coming from our YouTube channel because the YouTube logo is showing in the bottom left corner. That's one of the things I love about ECamm. If you're bringing in, if you're pushing your broadcast out to multiple places, like Facebook, like Twitter, like YouTube, like we are doing, ECamm collects all of those comments from those different locations, and in one window gives you the ability to simply click and add that comment to your broadcast. What better way to engage with your audience than actually putting them on your screen during your live stream to engage with, to answer questions, to give shout outs to points that people in the comments are making, and different things like that. And the last bit that goes along with engaging with your audience is how we here are able to use ECamm to produce our C3 show. And that is the interview mode, which let me bring that window onto the screen. ECamm allows you to bring in guests simply by having them follow a link. Now I'm in Inception mode because I see myself twice on this screen over here to my left. And it keeps your guests in what's called a green room. We have the ability to chat with each other behind the scenes if necessary. No one knows that chat exists. It doesn't show up anywhere on the stream. And we have the ability to see each other at all times inside the green room. Somebody can mute themselves. They can remove themselves from the broadcast, add themselves to the broadcast. Interview mode is so Kevin has opted to mute himself in the green room. So now his audio won't be coming onto the broadcast no matter how heavily he's coughing over there in Canada. It is cold season over there, I assume. So in my opinion, the interview feature that ECamm has added is a great way to also engage with your audience, because you can now bring guests onto your show, interview them, allow them to be special guests to talk about topics. It's literally an endless supply. And you, again, can use those two things in conjunction with each other to engage with your audience. And I have some bonus material that I think we'll cover in an advanced episode of ECamm, because I feel like my demonstration has gone incredibly long, and I apologize for that. I just get so passionate about this stuff. I just can't help it. So, we are going to move now into the final phase for tonight, which is the connect phase. And let me turn off live demo. So now we are literally back at it. So, as people who are in 3 different locations, we love to share how we connect with each other and with others. And using a streaming software like ECammLive lets us do just that. I am very curious to hear what my 2 PC cohorts think of this Mac based tool. Manny, if you don't mind, I'm going to kick it to you to hear your thoughts first.
Well, as I thought I was going to get a lot of value, and I did. And here is why. Number one, you made that seem so easy. I absolutely love the part where it literally was integrated into your whole thing. I'm like, wait a second. She's have all the, I thought that was just stuff on your on your computer, but then you start moving things around. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the production. Like that was super cool, right on your forefront of your that, to me that was the biggest thing on like how simple it can be, where you can integrate it with your computer and just have it right there, like everything was right there on one screen for you. But I also loved how the when you were explaining it and then you went back to help understand, because Ecamm offered a lot, and I did not even know that, to be completely honest with you. And so to see you put that into effect was like, okay, I can definitely see why that is a professional production studio right there. And the way you're able to control your audio, like when we start our stream and the countdown's going on and we're able to talk, vmix can't do that. I think that is another huge value. They can't do that yet. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to be asking like, hey, well, like, how can I do this? But I think that is so amazing that, number one, there's a lot of Mac users out there, a lot of Mac users. It's one of the most popular uses. My son just bought a Mac. So to see how you just broke this down and into baby steps, I I love it. I got so much as a PC user. I did not waste my time tuning in, taking notes, and having a better understanding of what Mac users have right in front of them. Great job, Dori. Great job.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
what do you think about that?
Well, having started on ECamm years and years and years ago, uh, a lot of the concepts have stayed the same throughout the years. They've just made and added better things. The interview, or green room, as we like to call it, that definitely is a feature that wasn't around when I had first started, and I love that feature that we're able to chat with each other like during the countdown just before we actually go live. But a lot of the other features that ECamm has, it is very similar to what vmix has, but in a better GUI for the end user to use. Like you said, you're just moving with your mouse, grabbing it and moving it around and click and toggling things on and off. Whereas in vmix, you actually have to click and go into configure and do some of the settings manually. Whereas it's just like a Mac environment, it's the GUI interface is so easy to follow. And also, I just wanted to remind everyone too that during that whole demo, she was actually using the live demo feature within eCamm to be able to show everything on her screen. But when you actually go live, you don't see all of those widgets and everything all the way around. You just see what was in that middle screen. So that's another feature of eCamm that I love, is like show your desktop and being able to show the inception of eCamm within eCamm. So I absolutely love it. So great presentation, Dory. A lot of awesome content once again. So throw it back to you. What's any additional last minute things before we close off for tonight?
I'm actually really glad that you pointed out the live demo because I just want everyone to understand that what they're seeing right now is like I'm still seeing all of my windows in ECamm, but all you're seeing is what I want you to see, which is the scene that we have selected. So that was an excellent point, and I'm glad that you reminded everyone about that. So I'm just really thankful that you guys were willing to kind of dip your toes into the Mac world and learn a little bit about eCamm. And I just hope that I was able to help someone out there who is kind of in the same situation we are. We're all in different locations. And while we're on stream together, we are technically in a room by ourselves, figuring out how to produce content. And so my job is to just, hopefully try to inspire someone to take a step outside their comfort zone and try something new. And if it means using a software tool like eCamm to boost your production value, then I'm here for it. So I I don't know if you guys were checking comments if there was anything else coming in, but it looks like it was just you guys kind of taking notes in the comments, which is awesome.
Yes.
Um, so they'll be in there in the production as well. So I think without further ado, we are gonna kick it to Manny.
Awesome. As people who are in 3 different locations, that's one thing we love, this type of content where we can bring it to you. So if you enjoy content like this and are finding it useful, we would love it if you'd like and subscribe. Sharing our content is also a great way to spread the love. You can visit our website for information on all the ways you can connect with us here at C3, linktree/content creators connect. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
And also in the comments, feel free to put down some suggestions of things for us to cover. If you go back to our page and watch our previous videos, maybe there's something that we missed and that you would like us to dive a little bit deeper on. So definitely like, can't talk. I'm so excited. Leave us a comment about what you would like to see for future episodes, and we will research and get that information out to you.
And with all that being said, thank you for joining Content Creators Connect, aka C3, tonight as we demonstrated the power of ECammLive. We return next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where Manny will be demonstrating vMix, his PC production software. We will be multicasting live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, so be sure to join us. Until then, we urge you to identify and lean into your 3Cs. Start today creating unique content that builds connections and breaks down those barriers. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Bye.
Till next
Bye.
time.